Did you know that out of the 1,400 sales that occurred in Calgary over the last 30 days, 806 homes sold under ask price, 134 homes sold at ask price, and 452 homes sold over ask? This is a very good glimpse of what is going to happen in the Calgary real estate market in 2024. Every single month, I'm going to continue to touch on these three metrics and showcase to you how aggressive the market is being. Quick example, line 8. There was a brand new home listed for 107 days. It listed at $694,000 and ended up selling at $847,000, 22% over ask price. Now, if you want more information about this, go ahead and reach out. My name is Adam Fife, your Calgary realtor. If you're looking for a realtor that is very data driven and analytical, I'm your guy. If you're looking at placing a offer, buying an investment property, or looking to list your property in 2024, now is the time to book the calls and figure out what is going to happen for your personal situation. Because I can tell you right now, working with buyers, there's multiple properties that we can't even see because they go pending within the first 24 to 48 hours. It's very aggressive out there, so let's get into it. Now, let's start off by looking at what the Calgary Real Estate Board has written about this current market, and we'll go from there. City of Calgary, February 1st, 2023. Kreb, your year's wrong. Make sure you're proofreading. January sales rose to 1,650 units, a significant gain over last year's levels and long-term trends. The growth was possible thanks to a rise in new listings totaling 2,137 units in January. New listings rose for homes above 300,000, but the largest gains occurred for homes priced over 700,000. The rise in new listings relative to sales did little to change the low inventory situation in the city. With 2,150 sale units in inventory, levels are near the January low records set in 2006 and are nearly 49% below the long-term averages for the month. Now, supply challenges have been a persistent problem since last year. This month's gain in new listings has helped provide options to potential buyers, supporting sales growth. However, the growth in sales prevented any significant adjustments in supply, keeping conditions tight and supporting further price growth. The months of supply in January was 1.3 months, falling over last month's and last year's levels. The persistent tightness in the market contributed to further upward price pressure on home prices. The unadjusted benchmark price in January reached $572,300, a gain over last month and 10% higher than levels reported last January. Like I mentioned before, I am actively in the market with multiple clients currently looking to make moves, and it has been very aggressive and very surprising. Now, this report, truthfully, I don't feel fully shares the picture because a lot of the homes that I have been looking at in the last 7 days are not going to be showcased as sold because a lot of them have pending periods for 7 to 10 days. So all of those solds will show up in February. So I would imagine February's report is going to be a lot more aggressive in price increasing than this month's. So with that being said, this is the total residential price growth chart here, with the red line being the price, the blue bar being the inventory, and the green bar being the sales. So the red bar, you can see it's ticked up ever so slightly from last month. We have technically stabilized as a city since August of last year, kind of going up and down, a little bit of a slowing down in the seasonal adjustment. When you look at the sales and the inventory, clearly it fell November, December, January, very slow times of the year. So the assumption now is what's going to happen in 2024. Well, we're most likely going to see an increase in sales, an increase in inventory, but more or less an increase in price. So let's remember that there are attributes with this. This is a composite, so this is the benchmark. This is the total residential benchmark price for the city. So it includes a 3-bed, totally finished basement, no bedrooms in the basement, 2 full baths, 1,300 square foot house, double attached garage, 1 half bath, poured concrete, built in 2001. So when you see the benchmark for the entire city, this is kind of the composite that you would get for those attributes. Now, this is interesting. Let's kind of dive into the numbers here a little bit. So this is the total sales. So this January, we greatly outpaced last January. And last January was very busy. But if you look before that, the January 2022 right off the hop, we saw 2,000 sales. So we're not as busy as 2022, but we're busier than last year. And if you look at the price point between the 2 years, we are greatly more expensive than what we were in 2022 and 2023. You can see the biggest gain were apartments as well as detached sales. Now, this is the new listings. It is really great to see the new listings tick up. This is the year to date. Obviously, it's only January so far. It's nice to see new listings did increase from last year, but truthfully, it was not nearly enough for how much for how many buyers are in this current market. Now, this is a new one. I think this is quite interesting. I might touch on this a little bit more just to get a total sales volume to try to help people understand like what's actually going on in the real estate market. So this is total residential. So you can see just comparing January to January. As we get further into the year, it'll be year to date. But last January, we only sold $609 billion worth, $609 million, where this year we sold 939 million. So there's a 54% increase in sales volume, even though there's only a 37% increase from the actual sales volume. So we increased in new listings compared to last year. We have decreased in inventory compared to last year. And if you look at the months of supply, it's a very big indicator. 2 months of supply, it's a little bit more balanced. It's still favoring the seller, but this year, 1.3 months of supply, it is very much a seller's market. So where are all these sales? Now this chart is a little skewed in my personal opinion. So if you look right there, 7 to $1 million, it's actually 3 $100,000 brackets kind of amalgamated into one. So it looks like all of the sales are obviously over there, but you need to remember that there's 3 brackets. So regardless, the $400,000, the $300,000 price point most likely saw the most activity. So if you're in that price point, you really need to make sure that it's very competitive. You can see that the 400, 500, and 600,000 are all relatively at the same amount of sales. And then the $700,000 and $900,000 is going to be broken up into 3 sections, but you can clearly see that there is a big increase, especially when you compare it to last year, the yellow bar. So kind of breaking it down here a little bit more towards the city as a whole for this, the detached, the semis, the rows, the apartments, you can see that the total sales on the bottom bar there was 1,600. It's really great to see that there was 2,100 new listings, which is going to help offset a lot of the pressure on pricing, but we do need to see a lot more new listings to really offset the amount of people who are coming to the market. So the sales to new listing ratio is 77% according to this chart here. You can see that the townhouses are seeing the most activity at 92%, where the semis actually dropped below 60%. Months of supply again for the townhouses is 0.08. So very, very, very much a seller's market. Make sure that you, depending on which property type you're getting into, you kind of have a general understanding of what you're going to kind of get. So this is a chart that showcases a month of inventory. It's obviously historically low. There's a very low amount of homes left over at the end of the month. It's very aggressive out there for people that are looking at properties. It's good for sellers, but for sellers, you really want to make sure that you're organized and you have a good base on how you're going to handle multiple offer situations. For you buyers, it's very important that you have a good understanding of what things are selling for in that area and placing offers that are competitive enough to at least be considered by the seller, because you're going to get beat up a little bit and kind of frustrated. So breaking it down here, you can see that this is a map of Calgary. This is the individual quadrants of the entire city. The things I really point out the most is East Calgary. We have increased quite a bit. You can see it's 25.6% year-over-year growth. So it's still listed at 420 for total residential, which is very low. And then you look at places like Calgary West, which is 686,000. So this is just a very quick map of what prices are around the city. Now, kind of breaking it down here a little bit more. So we've already touched on this a little bit. So total residential is up 10%. It's up $2,200 from last month. Year over year, it's up 52,000. You can see the detached properties have actually increased to over $700,000. I thought we were going to hit 700 last year, but we didn't quite get there. So this year, very first month, we broke that $700,000 benchmark price. Semi-detached actually saw a decrease of 2,200. The row apartments have still not gotten back to the price point at what they were in, I believe it was November or December. I thought we were going to reach 430 in 2023, and then we just completely slowed right down, and we did increase $1,300, but we had a pretty major decrease before that. And then apartments are just continuing on their trajectory. They're at 324,000. It'd be very interesting to see where apartments end at the end of 2024. So this is a written description from the Calgary Real Estate Board about individual property types. I'm not going to touch on this. Feel free to pause the video. I will mention that if you are taking 2024 seriously, you want to get into the market, go ahead, book a call with me. The Zoom link is in the description. I promise you it will be worth your time to have a conversation and just open up the possibilities of what it would look like if you are selling, buying, or looking for an investment property, which is very hard to come by these days. So yeah. This is the months of supply. So this is a really good indicator to showcase to you the property type and the quadrant that you might be getting into. So months of supply is a very good indicator to showcase how fast the market is moving. So just as an example, if we look at semi-detached in city center and southeast, you can see that there's actually 3 months of supply. So there's a lot of inventory left over in city center and southeast. City center will be a lot more expensive than the southeast. So if you are in the market for a semi-detached and you're looking at the southeast, maybe there could be an opportunity for you to potentially get a semi-detached under ask price at a pretty good deal compared to other places in Calgary. If we look at the townhouse market as an example, they have the lowest amount of inventory under 1 month, which is the black bar. You can see that Calgary North, Northwest, and South, going right to left there, are all near 5 months of supply, which is a very aggressive market. Very good for sellers, not good for buyers. So please keep that in mind. Now, this is a visualization of benchmark price. This is only so good unless you understand what the attributes are in those quadrants. So you can see that if you are looking for, if you got a pre-approval for X and you want certain benchmark attributes, you could overlay it onto this graph here and you can see what you might get for those attributes in individual quadrants. But with that being said, if you do have a property and you're thinking about maybe selling it, or you're trying to leverage your asset, or you're maybe trying to figure out what it would look like for a refinancial situation, go ahead and put it into this software here. This is an AI software that I've partnered up with, which is very interesting. You put in your home address and it spits out a home evaluation within seconds. It is me and only me that looks at it. Yes, I probably will reach out and say hi and thank you for utilizing this service, but I promise you it is very interesting and it is very cool to do. So go give it a try. Now, what we've all been waiting for. This is the microeconomic breakdown for the entire city. Now, I'm not going to break this down into too much detail because that's what my individual property market reports are for. But just to give you an overall sense of what's going on in the Calgary real estate market, you can see that the detached has seen a lot of increases. Every single quadrant of the apartment has seen increases. Semi-detached is mainly increasing, but there's a couple big decreases there. You can see city center with negative 1.97. And then the townhouse market, for the most part, is seeing an increase. So let's reveal this now. And this is the actual dollar value. I manually go through this and add these in every single month because I feel like this is way more valuable than looking at percentages. So when you look at the detached market, the only things that we've seen decreases were the city center and then a flattening in the southeast. $300 decrease is not a decrease in my opinion. But when you look at Calgary West, you can see that they had a $32,000 increase, which was a rebound from last month when they saw a $28,000 decrease. So even with that decrease, this month they've surpassed what they decreased last month to $890,000 for the benchmark attributes for a home there. In the apartment sector, everything's increased. Last month they saw a couple decreases, but I'm very confident the apartment sector is going to see increases all year. The semi-detached market saw a pretty gnarly decrease in the city center. They had $17,000 decrease, a $5,200 decrease in west, and then a $1,400 decrease in southeast. Even though they saw some increases in northwest as well as east, the overall average was brought down from the western quadrant, or sorry, the city center quadrant, which saw a $17,000 decrease. So overall, they saw $2,100. And then finally, the row townhouses here, they saw a decrease in the city center as well as northwest, where everything else is increased to about $1,300 on average. So if you're interested in something like this, go ahead and reach out. This is only a kind of a surface level stuff. If you really want to figure out what's going on in your neighborhood, it's important to look at the communities and surrounding communities to figure out what the competition is like and what things are actually selling for the exact same attributes of your home or the home that you want to buy. So with that all being said, where's the Calgary real estate market going? You can see that every single year since 2021, we've seen increases year over year. I would imagine that 2024 is going to be another very busy year. We have somewhat rebounded from the losses that we saw before the Christmas holidays, and I would imagine, just based off of my personal experience, that there's going to be a lot more aggressive offers, that we're going to get over 500 homes sold over list price like I brought at the beginning, and we're going to see a lot more increases in the Calgary real estate market going throughout the entire year. So if you have any questions, please go ahead, book a call with me. I promise I'm pretty easy to talk to. Also, go ahead and comment your questions below. For those of you who have commented, thank you. I really appreciate that. I take my time and I actually try to reply to comments to the best of my ability. So go ahead, write your questions and let me know what your thoughts are. But thank you very much for sticking it through. Looks like it's about a 15-minute video, so I appreciate your time. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.